Ray Richardson, good morning to you.
Hey, Ted, thank you. To my far left is Sharon Herrick. She is the project coordinator, right, for Volunteers of America, Northern New England Division. Wow, I got all that out in one breath.
Isn't it
And, of
amazing?
course, it's District Attorney Everett Fowle from Kennebec and Somerset County. Thank you both for staying.
All right. We have elder abuse to talk about. She's going to talk about good things about the Justice Department, which we haven't heard in a long time. This is awfully good stuff. Sharon, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
This is great. Now, you're the project coordinator, so help us out a little bit. Elder abuse, you know, I heard it this morning, and I'm thinking, yeah, all right, I hear that, you know, the nursing homes, but it extends beyond that. So help us understand exactly what it is that your group wants to focus on.
It extends far beyond that. The Elder Justice Training Partnership is actually composed of 5 different organizations that are looking to train law enforcement, prosecutors, and judges about elder abuse issues so that we can better identify, investigate, prosecute, and adjudicate those cases.
Give us an example of what would be elder abuse. Give us some idea.
You know, it's interesting because elder abuse is never any one single thing. It can be physical abuse, domestic violence, and some people think domestic violence, oh, that's a 30-year-old. Well, that grows old, too. So it could be happening between 70-year-old couples. Financial exploitation, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and neglect, which can also be self-neglect. So it's a range, and oftentimes when there's one, there's another. And just to address something you said about nursing homes, so the perception is that a lot of this happens in nursing homes. Well, not all older adults 60 and older are in nursing homes. It's a small part of the population. In fact, I think it's about 5% of the population of older adults are in nursing homes. And just so you get a sense of the idea of how big this problem is, there are 14,000 cases in the state of Maine, and about 84% go unreported.
Oh, is that right? Unreported, why? It seems to me you want to put the education into the hands of people like D.A. Everett Fowle, the judges, certainly police officers. We know there's a lot of coordination going on we want to talk about, but why?
This is what the complex part of the issue is. It's a family issue. So we are 20 years behind child abuse and domestic violence in terms of the awareness and recognition of abuse. So when you say elder abuse, it's oftentimes by a family member. It could be a spouse, it could be some kind of relative, or somewhere where there's an expectation of trust between the victim and the caregiver. And it's about 60% of the perpetrators are family members. And so who wants to call law enforcement and on their son or daughter who may be stealing money from them while they're sick in bed?
Or
it's
if you're the brother
complex.
or the sister or the one of you, I mean, the whole
Absolutely.
thing. Yeah, you can see how that's
It's a lot of crazy making. And so what we're trying to do with the partnership, which let me tell you who's a part of this, the Maine Office of the Attorney General.
He's doing something then.
Absolutely.
Right.
He is very active in leading this effort. The Maine Prosecutors Association has been fantastic. The Elder Abuse Institute of Maine, the Maine Coalition Against Sexual Assault, and the Maine Coalition to End Domestic Violence. And I will say that the Department of Justice, who's funding this project, they have had this vision. We are one of 10 pilot projects across the country, and we are the only one implementing statewide. Because, you know, as Maine goes, so goes the country. So we are really this model for other folks around the nation.
Because we're also the oldest state of the nation, aren't we?
That is absolutely accurate. And our population is doubling, which means we really need to build foundation now and get folks educated.
Here comes baby boomers, by the way.
That's right. And those baby boomers are caregivers as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to say, Everett, yesterday when we spoke, you had just left a conference on this in Brunswick. What are you hoping the DA's office can do here to stem this tide?
Well, I think district attorneys can be leaders in this effort, and we've had a number of cases of elder abuse already that people got involved with and reported to us, but we can only sort of shake our heads and wonder how many cases are being unreported. And the whole point of my involvement in this coalition is to make sure that prosecutors and law enforcement are sensitized to telltale signs of elder abuse, that when somebody does make a report and a concern, that it's taken seriously, that it's investigated fully. And we've also partnered up with Adult Protective Services, people like Ricker Hamilton, who are a great resource and an underused resource at this point. And so I do think Sharon's right. We may be where we were 20 to 25 years ago with child abuse, with domestic violence, and we may only be scratching the tip of the surface. And our efforts in the next 2 or 3 years working together will determine just how true that is.
We hear this term elder abuse. It's sort of a new term in the vernacular, but this is something that has a long foundation. It's been going on forever. It's just not really been recognized. Am I correct?
You're absolutely correct. And I want to let you all know that a couple of weeks ago we did what we called a road show, and we flew in a national elder abuse expert who was a former prosecutor, and she provided training to 250 professionals in the criminal justice system. She trained law enforcement officers on undue influence, which is also a new term where you separate a victim from their money. You're able to isolate them. She also came to the Maine Prosecutors Conference and trained prosecutors at
How was she ever?
ADAs and their
Decent? Was
staff.
she decent or a little boring?
She was excellent.
She was good then, huh?
You always wonder when somebody's coming in from California what
See?
you're getting,
Yeah.
but she was excellent.
No,
She was
oh, that
excellent.
good.
And then we had a press conference on Thursday with the Attorney General and Ann Jordan, the Commissioner for the Department of Public Safety,
Right.
Diana Scully, the Office of Elder Services. And then on Friday, it was a spectacular ending. We trained EMS and 911 dispatchers, and they are the first responders, if you think about it. Who's calling 911?
So we have a lot of elderly folks in our audience. If they're in a situation where they feel they're being abused, they need some help, who do they go to? How do they get this ball rolling?
Well, I've actually provided a 1-800 number for Adult Protective Services. So if you suspect, just suspect, that there might be abuse happening, like I said, physical, emotional, sexual, domestic violence, financial exploitation, it can be beyond a scam, someone taking
Let me give
checks
that
from
number
you.
because we have a hard break. 1-800-624-8404. 800-624-8404. Sharon, great work. We thank you so much for what you're doing. Awfully well done.
Thank
Everett?
you.
All right, decent. Decent today. Decent. D.A. Everett Powell, thank you both very much.
Thank you so
7:30,
much.
Fox Morning News, LOB. And